What's good, guys? Today I'm going to uncover some things I've learned over the past couple weeks, couple months, kind of my whole life summed into one video. So kind of be ready. And it's under the idea of always operating at full capacity. In this video, I'm going to be unpacking the idea of operating at full capacity. And today you're going to learn why you should operate at full capacity and what's going to happen if you don't operate at full capacity, especially if you have the capabilities to do so. The first thing that's going to happen if you don't operate at full capacity, and I think that we all can kind of relate to this and we all kind of know this, is that you'll have excess energy, right? And if you have excess of anything, it's not necessarily good at all. But if you have excess energy, it's going to cause havoc either internally or externally. First, I'll unpack the idea of it causing havoc internally. So it's important to simply understand that by nature, bro, we're not stagnant human beings. We're always moving towards something, whether that be death, goals, better relationships, higher status. We're always moving towards something. And we also all have a natural state of being and a natural state of operation. Some people's state of operation is larger than others, and that's sometimes determined by gender or personality. But I guess that could be debated later on in life. I don't give a fuck. So now that you understand that we all have our own state of operation, imagine that you have the capabilities to operate within a circumference of 100 miles. But every single day you only operate within 50. You can see this being done forcefully to boys in the school system, which we can touch on later. But what's even more sad is that people do this to themselves voluntarily, and it's even sadder seeing people that you love doing this thing. You know, every single day, you see the people that you love. They have the abilities to just operate more. You have the ability to do more. Just do it. But they continuously and voluntarily just do the bare minimum. They don't hit the pinnacles. They don't operate to their full potential, and it's sad to see. What's going to happen if you continuously operate at a lower level than you're capable of doing so is that you're just going to subconsciously build up days of unfulfilled. You're just going to constantly build up unfulfilled days, and you're just going to leave loads of excess energy that you'll never be able to regain. Building up those days is not going to do anything to you. It's not going to have an effect on you today. It's not going to have an effect on you tomorrow. But imagine 5 years from now. 5 years of unfulfilled energy and 5 years of days that you're never actually going to ever get back. Just thinking of that idea is fucking scary to me, bro. Looking back in 5 years, knowing that I had the potential to just do more with all the days that I hit the pillow. Like I'm hitting the pillow being unsatisfied. Hitting the pillow just knowing that I could have done more. Imagine knowing that you could have done more. Looking 5 years, bro. How many days is that? What's 365 times 5? I don't know. But fuck, that's scary. But again, looking back and noticing that you have 5 years of, unfulfilled days and 5 years of energy that you're never going to get back, it's going to set you off in ways that you probably already experienced. And I've experienced these things myself too. If I look back in my life, there's so many times I've noticed that I could have just done more. I wake up the next morning knowing that Gadako yesterday could have just done more shit. And it's like I said, it's going to set you off in ways that you've probably already experienced. Like procrastination, self-deprecation, relapsing, being quick to anger, or just being a degenerative human being in general. This is something that could just be simply avoided by operating at full capacity as many days out of the year as you can bear. And you may ask, okay, Garako, how the fuck do I know if I'm operating at full capacity? And what I would say is that you only know you're operating at full capacity when the people within your atmosphere are either patting you on the back or telling you to slow down. I mentioned in the beginning, leaving excess energy can cause havoc externally and internally. Now I'm going to cover how it can affect you externally or have an effect on your external environment. So obviously, the destruction of letting days go by where you don't operate at full capacity, that destruction starts from within. But then it slowly starts to work its way out and have an effect on your relationships, on the way that you interact with the social world, and your viewpoint on life in general. You'll find yourself being quick to anger, like I mentioned before. And you may honestly find yourself doing things for your own good and your own profit. And this is kind of questionable, but not really, because it's almost like having something at the tip of your tongue at all times, right? You some days you go by and you don't operate at full capacity. You leave energy behind. It's like leaving something at the tip of your tongue. Like, say, when you have that thought or that word and like you just can't get it out, and then you just give up overall and you're like, whatever, and then you're unsatisfied. Those times where you feel unsatisfied, it builds up, it builds up, it builds up, it builds up. And you're just going to be unsatisfied with yourself. You're going to be unsatisfied with life. So then what you're going to do is you're going to try to seek power in different social hierarchies that you have around you. And you're going to just start to do things for your own good and profit. And you're just going to indulge in your more hedonistic behavior and hedonistic ways because you're unsatisfied and you're just trying to chase that. I don't know if it's dopamine or whatever the fuck you're trying to chase, but you're just trying to chase that one up. But you're going to do that externally because you don't have the confidence within yourself to do it within. You can't do it within because you've let yourself down so many times. You're going to find yourself doing that, and you're probably going to find yourself projecting your shadow self onto others, and then you're probably going to find yourself allowing uncontrollable circumstances having control over your emotional state of being, which is just horrible. While you may not necessarily find any of these things to be bad, they're all the ways of evoking negative emotion within yourself and negative emotion within others. And just think about this. I've touched on this before. If you're the evoker of negative emotion within others, like those humans, they're going to tend to avoid negative emotion as us humans do. But I get some people are kind of not turned on. Some people just like negative energy, which is questionable. But I'm not a psychologist. We won't touch on that. But people as humans, we're going to tend to avoid that negative emotion. And if you're the evoker of such negative emotion, then they're going to start to avoid you. And that only causes havoc externally because you don't want to be somebody who's constantly avoiding someone, right? Like, say you have an awkward interaction with somebody at work or at school, or etc. You're going to always try to avoid them and tiptoe, eggshell, da-da-da-da-da. And that person, say you're the evoker of negative emotion. I know you evoke negative emotion in me. So every day I see you, I'm going to try to avoid you. I'm going to try to shorten conversation. And that's just going to cause inconvenient life for me, as well as going to cause questions for you. Why does Gadako avoid me? Da-da-da-da-da-da. It just creates chaos, and you just want to avoid that at all costs. Furthermore, leaving an excess amount of energy in any area of your life is just a way to create a more unorderly one. For instance, bro, if you eat too many calories and you don't burn them off, you become fat and overweight. Or if you work for 8 hours but you had the ability to work 12, you're now left with regret. So just operate at full capacity at all times, bro, because you can't afford to do anything else. The next thing I want to cover around operating at full capacity is to just understand that, just ask yourself. There's nothing to understand. Just ask yourself, why would you waste what was given to you? Whether you believe in God or not, okay, you were given the ability by some higher power. You were given the ability to walk, talk, and wake up every single day for the past however many years of your life. But yet you're still willing to just align yourself with degenerative habits and regressive routines? Why? Like I mentioned before, I do think it's the ultimate sin to just waste a life that was given to you. And what I define a waste of life is just what I define a waste of life is just a life that is just not maximized to its full potential. A life where you have the potential, but you just didn't fully squeeze it out. Even though you poured 3/4 of the cup left and you said, oh, I have more I can do. Let me just save it for later. Why wouldn't you just maximize it? You're only given one life to live, like I've touched before in my Stoic video that you should go check out. Another way I also think is a way of life is just, again, knowing that what you're doing is causing a recession in your life, but then continuously just going to do it anyway. Yeah, oh yeah, I know porn's gonna ruin my life. Let me just beat my meat anyways. I know this pizza's gonna fuck me up. Let me just eat it anyways. I ate pizza today, by the way. I'm gonna be honest. I don't lie on camera. I know this pop and soda's gonna fuck me up. Let me just look. Let me just chug it up anyways. You know it's gonna fuck up your life, but you're just gonna say fuck it. Why? Just come on now, bro. You're better than this. And honestly, bro, if you're constantly finding that you're wasting time or doing less than you know that you could have, it says a lot about your routine. It says a lot about your personality, and this is not necessarily entirely your fault, but we'll get into that a little bit later. This just simply all falls under the notion of operating at full capacity, because if you were operating under full capacity, you just wouldn't have time to waste, and that's obvious enough. Like, I know we've all went on streaks of no fap or streaks of just being consistent, and we were just solely focused on that, and we were just doing things with our day. We were building up our routines, and we didn't have time to relapse. We didn't have time to eat junk food. We didn't have time to order food or do all this shit that causes a recession in our life, because we didn't allow for it to happen. We filled our days up, so we didn't have time to face the things to face our weaknesses, right? And that's what you have to do. But like I said, the problem here is not entirely your fault. The problem is that you are just straight up ignorant to the value of time. And it could possibly be the same for money, because arguably the one who wastes time is one who wastes money. And even if you were taught the value of either, you had to learn the value of the other. You know what I mean? One who was taught the value of time necessarily isn't taught the value of money. Like me personally, I wasn't necessarily taught the value of time, but I always grew up understanding the value of money, right? But I'll go through, waste time and do some meaningless shit that didn't really progress my life. And you can just look at normal families. I mean, a lot of families have the solidified value of time, like they'll grind 9 to 5s for 40 years. They save money, they do the right things with the money, they don't spend, they save frugally, but they don't understand the value of time because they dedicated 40 years to a workplace that didn't even cause progression of the money that they could have grew more money if they dedicated that time to something. Therefore, they would have had more money to place more value on, but they don't understand that concept. They don't understand the value of time, right? It's very rare to find an individual who grew up in a household or a society where they're taught both the value of time and money. And I don't know if it's some kind of programming or we're not taught the value of others, so there's some sort of imbalance in our life, even though I argue balance isn't even an important thing. But keep that in mind, okay? You were either taught the value of time or the value of money. Which one was it? Figure that out and then go learn the value of the other. But this is okay, man, because we all grew up or are growing up in a society or a household where we're not really taught to maximize our lives. We're taught to balance our lives, and I do agree with balance in some sense, but the ones who have extreme results or the ones that we look up to, they don't have balance in their lives, but yet they do seem to be living a peaceful life. I wouldn't even call it a happy life, because who the fuck is to say we're always supposed to be happy? But they look like they're living a peaceful life. And the times where my life is imbalance, but the thing that's causing the imbalance is something that's causing progression in me personally, progression in my soul. That's where I'm at the most peace, and that's when I experience more happy moments, when my life isn't in balance. Yeah, balance your life, guys, balance your life. But usually if people have the most balance, that bar is not even set high enough to be an example for other people. So therefore, why the fuck chase it? Unless you want to set that balance bar high so other people can glean off of it, I guess do that then instead. But it's just to this, bro. We weren't taught our potential. We weren't taught to maximize our lives. We're taught to balance it, right? And like I said, if you knew the potential that you had by utilizing your time, then you wouldn't waste the time. As simple as that. If you knew what you could do with your time, you wouldn't waste the time. And the easy test for this is like when the time does slip by, how do you react? I know for a fact a lot of you guys aren't angered. When time does slip by, are you angry? Yes or no? If you are, then you understand that value of time. Then you need to decrease the times where you're angry or decrease the amount of times you let time slip by. But if you're not angered by that time when it slips by, then you don't know the value of it. And you don't know how much potential that you truly have. This is something that needs to be taught, right? And this is a lesson that we learn throughout life. You know, by we learn it throughout life. We're not taught, bro. No one teaches it. We have to learn it through that mistake of wasting time and being a degenerate. Then we learn that value later. It's very important to understand that your impulses to waste time and money are deeply rooted in your psychology, and it may seem like something you can't change, but it is something you can change, and you just simply change it by understanding the potential that you have. It's as simple as that. It's understanding the potential that you have and understanding how finite both of these resources are, especially when it comes to time, because obviously time is something you truly can never get back. You can get the money back, kind of, but it all depends, I guess. I don't know. Okay, then you may ask, Gadako, how the fuck do I even find or know my potential, right? And I just say this. This is the conclusion I've come to. Just ask yourself this. Have you ever been punished for doing something that could have caused progression if you stayed on that path? If it's yes to that answer, assuming that, before I say the rest, assuming that it wasn't causing harm, obviously you get punished for doing something that causes harm to other people. But if you were punished for doing something that wasn't causing harm to other people, and it could have caused progression in your life if you stayed on that path, go back and do that shit again, and ignore anybody else who tells you otherwise. Because the people who tell you to not do this, or the people that punish you, are conditioned individuals who don't have the ability to conceptualize their own potential, so they see the potential of other people. They have that ability because it's easy to see somebody else's potential, but sometimes it's not easy to see your own because we have our own inconsistencies, we have our own incompetencies, and we have our own things that hold us back personally. But it's easy to see, oh, that guy has potential. It's easy to see that. And those people that don't have the potential they don't have the ability to see their own potential, once they see somebody else's potential, they will do everything in their power, maybe not everything in their power, they'll do everything that they have the energy for to try to stop that person from reaching it. And those are the type of people that you want to avoid. It's also the type of person you want to avoid becoming, and that's why I advocate The only reason I advocate for figuring out your potential is because somebody who knows their potential will never, ever, 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 ever stop anybody else from reaching theirs. Because the power that comes with knowing who you are, the power that comes with being secure in your own conceptualization of who you are and who you could become, it's an amazing power. It gives you an amazing confidence, and it gives you an amazing drive in life. And you would want to give that to your worst enemy. You would not want to take away that energy and that power and that knowledge from your worst energy, because it's truly amazing and it's truly divine. And I do think that's what God has given us. If you believe in God, if you believe in anything, that power in itself is just truly unbelievable. Of understanding, like, damn, I could be something, I could become something, I could become somebody. Why would you want to strip that away from somebody else if you truly know that inside? But if you don't have that inside, then anybody else who has discovered that knowledge and discovered that potential, of course you're going to want to strip them away. Of course. That's just the whole psychology behind haters. Haters are people who don't have a conceptualization of their own lives. They don't have a future, they don't have goals, they don't have anything, or they have the goals, but they don't have the ability to act forthrightly towards them. So therefore, when they see somebody else doing it, they fuck you. You're a scammer. You're a bitch. You're just a greedy motherfucking billionaire, a capitalization motherfucker. Like, this, all these people say is because they don't know how to do business. It's sad to see, bro, and I don't really know what to make of it right now. I'm still in the processes of understanding the psychology behind all of that. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's why I say you don't want to become that person who strips that person away. So understand your potential, bro. And normalize a society of maximized potential, not balance, because that's what we need less of. We need less punishment for people doing more good with their lives. And I just encourage everybody else to just stop discouraging people who think that they're doing something good with their lives. All right? Yes, everybody has their own vision for the people they love in their lives, right? Especially parents. Like, oh, you see your kid, or you see your homie in your own vision. You see him doing something with his life in your vision, but obviously he's going to deviate from that path because he's living his own life. But it's not your right to get mad at him for doing that. It's not your right to get mad at anybody else for deviating from the path that you set out in your own head for them, because that actually makes no fucking sense. It makes no logical sense to get mad at somebody for not acting out a life that you want them to live. Like, are you fucking retarded? Right? So it just comes to accept that. And I do think that's true love. When you truly love somebody, when you see them do something you didn't expect them to do, I think that's true love, in my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm only 19, right? So I should shut the fuck up. But like I said, to conclude that kind of tangent, somebody who knows their potential will never strip somebody away from reaching theirs, because they're truly secure in who they are and who they could be. But in conclusion, you have potential that you were just for some reason, I don't know if it's conditioning, it is societal conditioning. You have this potential that you were never aware of due to household and societal conditioning. And whenever you felt naturally compelled to act on this potential and maximize it and grind on it full force, you got punished for it, right? You got punished for it. And therefore, you decided that if I act on this, like if you get beat for doing something bad, you're not going to do it again. So you thought acting upon this natural compulsion to do great with your life, progress to something that you thought was amazing, you got punished for that. So therefore, you're never going to act on it again, because it's negative. It's something that should never be acted on again, or it's going to evoke anger in my loved one. It's going to avoid anger and controversy in my association. So I'm not going to do it again. I'm just going to comply to these little bitches. That's what it is, right? So furthermore, you associated that act as something to never be acted upon again, because it brought forth negative emotion in other people, right? So therefore, you've lost the ability to do so in general. And it's time to regain that ability. And it's time to grind again to your full potential and maximize it. Simple as that. We need to normalize a society of acting out of natural compulsion and maximizing our full potential. I'm tired of this notion of balance. I'm tired of people discouraging people from grinding at something they love to do, even as aggressive as they want to do it. Slow down, stop. You don't have to go that hard. Shut the fuck up, man. Are you sure you want to do this? You want to risk your life for money? It's not just about money, bitch. It's freedom. But I'm not going to go on that tangent. So normalize a society of maximized potential. Stop spewing that bullshit of balance, and always operate at full capacity as many days out of the year as you can bear. And make sure that you do spend time with your loved ones. And cherish every moment that you have with the people who will possibly die tomorrow. It's dark, but it's the truth. Love you. Start off tomorrow strong, G. Peace.